Welcome back.
And I'm here.
Not yet. Shh. Shut your mouth.
No
We
one
haven't
can hear
introduced you yet.
Hush.
Oh, no.
Shh. You did it again. Hey, we're back. Just Raven and I.
Yep, no one else here.
To Boozicles, the podcast where we drink musicals, child music, educate, all
You
that
keep
stuff.
saying that every time. It's not. We don't drink musicals, Campbell.
Yeah. Sometimes we do. We drink it in. Soak it up.
Drinking the experience of the musical. That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
But then we consume actual liquid on the sides.
Sometimes not just liquid, like today.
Indeed.
But today, listeners, I lied. We do have a guest.
You rascal, you.
We have a returning guest. What's up, Jonathan?
Friend of the podcast.
I'm not here. You
We
can't see
have
me.
we have let him out of the room. We had him locked away in since
Indeed.
Princess and the Frog, and now he's allowed to see the light of day.
Only for a
Allowed.
little bit.
They forced me out of my hotel
Yeah,
room.
it's about 6 p.m., so not much light left for today.
You think they spend that money on charity? No, they've put me up in a luxury hotel room for, I want to say, years.
I have Raven's credit card information, so it's fine. Anyway, welcome.
Concerned. I do
Welcome
too.
back. How's it
Yikes!
going?
No. Okay.
How's it going, Jonathan?
Yeah. What's up? How you doing?
I am here. I am existing in the world. However, that works for anybody personally.
Fair.
Motivating.
So before we get into like everything we're going to talk about today, I wanted to do a little bit of like musical news segment. And well, I guess it can be like news and games, because I know, Jonathan, you have a little game you want to play with us.
Yes, I do.
Oh, fine.
So this will be real quick, but it's everything's blowing up this week, and this episode is going to come out like next, so I just wanted to talk about it. I'm not sure how familiar the two of you are with the ongoing rap beef that is happening between Kendrick Lamar and Drake, otherwise known as Aubrey Graham.
Intimately.
I am
I love that for you.
surprisingly
I'm
aware.
so happy. So
A double down.
See,
Great.
it's not. Neither of them do music that I particularly enjoy.
fair.
They are
One of them
not
does for me.
one man in a garage somewhere in the Midwest, but I do enjoy drama, so I am aware.
I was okay. I came for the mess, and I stayed for the new Kendrick Lamar tracks because they're actually really fucking good. Yeah,
I came for the mess, and I stayed for the mess.
I came into it because I was like a very mild J. Cole fan. I like, of the three of them, I listened to J. Cole the most, which was still pretty low bar. So I came in when he dropped his new album, and then he gracefully bowed out, which in hindsight, good move on his part. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll just, listen into whatever Kendrick and Drake come up with, just see what happens. And then the world went crazy, and Kendrick has now dropped 4 songs, right as of, because Euphoria, 6 and 16, Meet the Grams, and then he dropped their Not Like Us. Yeah, it's just been going crazy. I don't know, do y'all have any
It's like
thoughts on
that
it?
Simpsons meme. It's like, stop, he's already dead.
He's already dead. I just think it's funny because, like, there have been, I think at the beginning, there were a lot of, like, Drake stans that were really trying to defend him and keep the flag going for him. And I think after this one, there's no hope. There's no hope.
Yeah,
I honestly think Drake just shouldn't even respond at this point.
I know. I hope he does.
Okay, here's my thing. He either has to definitively prove all the allegations wrong, which I don't think he can, because quite frankly, I believe Kendrick. Or he has to just respond to wave the white flag and be like, please, please stop.
Or
I'm dead.
He can respond, and it can be a lot worse, like Nicki Minaj, Bigfoot.
Oh my god, actually, that would be amazing. And I feel like that's what's going to happen, realistically.
Yeah,
I feel like
what I
he's
want.
going to respond, and it's going to be a terrible track.
Oh yeah.
But on that lovely note,
On that note, we shall get into our classic, always the same, never different segment that today, like every other day, is called Color Me C Sharp. Does that
Good
work
one.
at all
Oh,
in
that's
any way?
Classic. Good
Okay.
one that you got on the first time and like we didn't workshop it.
Absolutely.
Listeners,
For
We're gonna cut all the rest of that,
yeah,
right?
I was gonna
Yeah,
cut that out.
totally.
Future Raven, cut that out.
Okay, our musical term for today is ballet, which is an artistic dance form performed to music using precise and highly formalized set steps and gestures. So ballet itself can refer to like the performance or the work of art or the music that is written for it. And it will play a little bit into honestly, one of the pieces I really liked from today's musical, which is Waitress. So, woo! So Waitress is a musical with music and lyrics by Sarah Bareilles and a book by Jessie Nelson. So it's based on the 2007 film of the same name that starred Kerry Russell and was written and directed by Adrienne Shelley. So after the Tony Awards, where, it got really big and really popular, they announced a musical version of the film, and originally Paula Vogel wrote the book and Sarah Bareilles wrote the music and lyrics, but the version that we are watching today is the 2023 filmed version that has book by Jessie Nelson and is available on Prime Video, Google Play TV, as well as Apple TV if you're interested in watching.
Which I highly recommend because it's fun to see a stage show.
Yeah.
It's so fun, and it's
and this is a good one.
This is such a good one. Their use of both film and the stage medium is just really, really cool, and it's such a dynamic performance. I love it.
And the recording was actually recorded in 2021, because this was the first Broadway musical to come back after COVID, I believe. And so for the actual stage recording, they actually shot it in 4 days, which two of the days had a live audience, but the other 2 days didn't, so they could get all those different camera angles. Some of the other, pie shots where they're baking and things like that, and it looks like they're doing other things, but singing's going on, is because they are.
Love that. Okay, and our drink for today is the Cobbler cocktail. And it is basically a take on a fruit pie. So it can be made using any fruit that you prefer. I recommend either sliced peaches or apples, or you can do blackberries, cherries, blueberries, really any, fruit that is typical for a fruit pie. And you're going to toss that in some lemon juice, some sugar, any spices that you prefer, and then simmer that down, cook down your fruit. Then take all of those juice and drippings that you would usually use for your pie filling, and mix that 2 parts mixture to 1 part brandy, and then garnish it with some of your pie fruit. So we're gonna
graham cracker crust.
Oh, and a
rim.
graham cracker crust rim as your crust. Cheers.
Cheers. Clink.
That is one of the best drinks I've ever had.
Thank you. What fruit did you use?
I used apple.
Oh, I used apple too, because I love making apple pies, which is actually what gave me the thought for this.
I've actually never baked a pie before.
That's very interesting, because you've made a ton of cheesecakes.
And other desserts and baking.
I mean, yes, but
things.
It's just similar form.
Yeah,
dessert.
This definitely inspired me to make one soon.
Yeah, I really enjoyed making this. But I really enjoy, which I think this is one of the reasons why I really like this musical, I really enjoy the process of baking, and specifically of baking a pie. There's something especially about baking an apple pie for me that is almost therapeutic, because it's one of those baked items that I don't need a recipe for. I can literally just walk into the kitchen and make one pretty much whenever I want. And it becomes kind of a mindless activity for me. And I thought just that idea was, very, very in keeping with a lot of the story of this musical. Okay,
but
let's
Waitress,
get into it.
Act 1.
Indeed.
We enter Joe's Pie Diner, and we are introduced to our protagonist, Jenna Hutcherson, played by Sarah Bareilles. Yay! Woo!
Yay!
Yeah. Some other acting-related things. She's in the show Girls 5 Eva, and if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend everyone do. It is hilarious, so funny, and they need to make 1 million episodes. But she's also she was in an episode of Community. She was also in that one episode of 30 Rock when they have the benefit for the kidney. But we're going to talk more about Sarah Bareilles later, so I'm going to be late on that stuff now. But does anyone have a favorite Sarah Bareilles song?
Probably Gravity, which I know is one of her more popular ones, so of course, but it just hits my heart every time.
For me, it would be Sweet as Whole, because I think it's really funny. Sweet asshole. It's just like, hey, don't be a fucking bitch. But like in a song, and it's great.
I always love her sass in her music. It's great.
Oh, she was also in Jesus Christ Superstar Live.
Yes, yeah.
With John Legend.
I know I have listened to much of Sarah Bareilles, but I do not know if I could name one of her songs.
Love Song? Brave?
Yeah, okay, there you are. Job's done.
Oh, I love that song too. Oh my gosh. So we get into the song What's Inside. I really like this song. I love how the beginning of it, that sugar, butter, flour, and that sort of like backing like whisper to that, how that becomes a sort of its own motif throughout
a mantra.
Musical. Yeah, mantra. That's a great way to put it. And the song just has like, it's very like longing to me, very like heartbreaking, just like the way it's performed, despite the fact that like most of the lyrics are just her listing ingredients, but I think there's such a level of like emotion and meaning, I guess, that she's able to put into this music.
I did think the ensemble choreography was super weird in the beginning here.
Really? Oh, because the way they had their back to the audience? Or
how they would just kind of like swing. I don't think it was needed in that first scene.
That's
because once
that's
you
fair,
like saw the
honestly.
rest of the ensemble, and they're great, and we'll talk about them, but once you got into like the rest of the ensemble and like the full cast and different songs, I'm like, oh, this is fantastic. But just at that first,
I will say this is not
for me.
I will say that this is not the last time we will see some strange choreography in music in this show, in my opinion, at least. There's some songs later on that I'm confused about choices. I'm here for them. I'm just confused.
Fair, and we'll talk about it. I didn't mind it. It wasn't super distracting for me in this song, but I understand your point. Like, I do think having the ensemble do like very minimal movement during the scene would probably be for the best, because the emphasis is sort of meant to be on like her and the scene of like her starting the story in a lonely place where she's just kind of like trapped in her own mind. And I can see how that might take away from that effect, having them do all kinds of crazy choreography in the background.
But then she's like getting stuff together. She is, some stuff's on her mind, but she's getting ready for the deep shit blueberry bacon pie. Ha 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 ha. And we get into the song opening up. We're also introduced to a lot of her co-workers. So the cook and manager of the diner, I would say, is Cal, who's played by Eric Anderson. He was in The Greatest Showman. He played Mr. O'Malley. He was in the original Broadway cast for Kinky Boots and the Ensemble. He's been in Rocky the Musical. He took over as Zidler in Moulin Rouge in 2022. Also, apparently there's a thing called Death Note the Musical, and I think it's more so just like a recording. I don't think it's a stage performance, but he plays Ryuk in that. So a very main character. Jonathan looks so displeased. Isn't the right word. I'm going to make up a word that you feel confuddled.
Confuddled is accurate, actually.
Okay.
I am gobsmacked.
Ooh,
perhaps?
that's a great word.
Yes, I am befuddled by the concept, but continued.
Yeah, I didn't think befuddled was enough, so confused and befuddled is where I got to confuddled. And then she also has a couple other waitresses, which I think this entire cast did such an amazing job.
Oh, they're fantastic.
And like, especially the waitress eye. So we also have Dawn Pinkett is played by Caitlin Houlihan, who's also been in Mayor of Easton, American Rust. On the Peter Pan Live on TV, she played Jane. And then Becky is played by Charity Dawson, who's been in Little Voice, Teresa's mother. In 2022, she was Matron Mama Morton. She's also been in Mrs. Doubtfire and Juliet on Broadway. And I think just the stage dynamic amongst the three of them, acting wise, but also musically, just fits together so well.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Like, their voices meld so beautifully together, and there's just the chemistry between all the cast, and there's so many physical bits, both like physical comedy, but also just like great physical like language of the dynamic between the characters and the relationships between them. I think so much of that comes across through body language and through just the way the cast interacts with each other throughout the show. I think it's just really, really cohesive.
Yeah. Opening up the diner, and I just love the harmonies. Really big fan. I'm just gonna have a lot of like really positive things to say during this episode.
Yeah. And I think this last thing I'll say about this song, I think it's a really interesting juxtaposition between going almost immediately from What's Inside to Opening Up, because they're just such vastly different like sounds and like feels, emotions. Whereas like Opening Up is this like bustling song that's very bright sounding, very like major key core type of thing, whereas like What's Inside is much slower, a bit more somber, and like I said, more of that longing feeling, and I think just that juxtaposition really shows the way Ginny kind of, how when she's in those baking moods, how it's so like inside her head and kind of like her internal state a lot of times, even though it's not what she shows, but also specifically the way she makes that switch when she comes to work, or when she's talking to Earl and she just has to be able to cope and like get through the shift and get through the next thing type of thing.
Yeah, and that's like very reflective also about, working in the service industry, because like in this scene we're also introduced to the owner of Joe's Pie Diner or whatever it's called, and played by Declan Matthews, General Hospital, King of Queens, Gilmore Girls, Rocky the Musical, does such a fantastic job in this, but his specific order was so fun. He's like, and I would like a slice of tomato on the side, but that has to be on a separate place.
On its own plate.
That's fun. And it's just like so specific in a anxiety way, and just a okay kind of way. I love it.
So I know this exact feeling, and this is exactly what serving old people is like. Not everybody.
So I will say, watching Sarah Bareilles do a Southern accent felt a little wild during this. Not bad, like she did a fine job, but like it just felt weird seeing her do one. But she's
acting.
Acting. She's an actor, an actress. The theater.
A thespian.
So she's taking Joe's order.
Good for her.
I thought you were American. So she's taking Joe's order, and she starts feeling sick. And so she kind of like runs to the bathroom. Dawn and Becky obviously take notice. They make her take a pregnancy test. Shockingly, well, I guess first we'll get into the song. So while they're in the bathroom,
great song.
We get into the song The Negative. This is a fun boppy song of Ginny being freaked the fuck out and just like, I absolutely do not want to be pregnant.
Jenny?
And Dawn and Becky are just like, it'll be fine. You'll be okay. Just pee on the stick.
And what a good expression of female and female identifying solidarity.
Indeed.
Because it's just
There
like,
are two things.
we're all hoping he doesn't have swimmers. We're all in the same boat for this. Sending all the good vibes into the world, into your
not be
piss.
pregnant.
Yeah.
I have two notes. A, why does Becky just have a full pregnancy test inside of her apron?
Sometimes you
I'm
gotta
fine
keep
with
one
it
locked and
having
loaded.
her.
I think it's because Becky has been shown to be someone that really like goes above and beyond and prepared for like her coworkers, and it seems like it wasn't like, oh, I did something like super crazy. It's like something they've been talking about. So it like finally got to the point. It's like, you really just finally need to take it here. There's no excuse now.
Perfect. Second, Dawn should not be holding this pregnancy test.
That's just Dodd though.
Nobody should be holding this pregnancy test,
But
except
they-
for the woman who peed on it.
Did
And
they
even then,
did
I'm
they
iffy.
wash their hands in the song?
Not a single time. No.
No.
But why would you need to? You're just handling open urine.
And food.
And food.
And food.
that was my point. I just like it's okay. Everyone just fucks there, so it doesn't even matter.
Apparently.
And across the whole damn town.
Yeah, they were fucking in the kitchen. I don't think food safety is their biggest concern, unfortunately.
More common than you think.
So we get yikes. So we get through the song. At the very end, Ginny finds out that she is in fact pregnant, and then after this, like, so she is kind of freaking out, and we hear that mantra of like sugar, butter, flour in the background. She starts kind of thinking up a new pie recipe, but this one is
As a coping mechanism.
it's a coping mechanism and includes that damned red dress and that darn beer that she drank that got her all liquored up and under her husband, which apparently is the first time that's happened in quite a while, and was not supposed to happen. And then who shows up at the bakery but said dumbass husband, Earl, who we hate.
Earl, yeah. Earl is played by the fantastic Joe Tippett.
He's so great.
Mayor of East End, The Morning Show, Spirited. He does
Husband
such
of
a
Sarah
good.
Bareilles.
Yeah, they're engaged.
Or yes, partner. rather.
Yeah,
Excuse you.
and which is an interesting acting dynamic, especially this portrayal of a
This
couple.
particular relationship, yes.
Yeah. He sucks.
That's the only way to put it, to be quite honest.
Truly phenomenal
he didn't
actor
get
to make you
punched
hate him
enough
so
in the
immediately.
musical.
Oh yeah. There's so many. I will say his dialogue and his blocking and acting choices and everything are so good at making every second that he's on stage and interacting with Jenny unbearable.
I was so uncomfortable.
Every
so many
single
times.
thing his character does, you're just like, oh, you are a piece of shit who will eventually beat your wife. Like, dear
I
Lord,
thought it was
girl,
assumed
run.
that he already has.
I thought that the time that we saw was potentially going to be his first time, and that was why she said that then. But I think it could go either way. Like, it's not explicitly clear. So we find out that
And the coworker, everyone is aware of what's going on in his stupid Earl tattoo. Even Joe knows, and Dawn like says to her, "Is like, you can move in with me. I have no space, but that is better than this."
Yeah. And he wants her to quit her job, so that she can stay home and just bake him pies.
Be
all the
controlled.
time.
Yeah.
Be controlled. Which is crazy because then, like, 2 sentences later, he insults her pies and was like, "Listen, you're no Sarah Lee," and it's like, "Sir, not respectfully, shut the fuck up."
Disrespectfully, shut the fuck up.
Disrespectfully, shut the fuck up. And she starts thinking of another pie, which is a jerk chicken pot pie. And we can clearly see through this communication that she like wants to leave him deep down, but doesn't feel that she really can, doesn't feel like she has the resources, or that she would really have anywhere to go or anything to do, without him. And then he basically calls her fat. So we hate her even more. So after...
Excuse you. He mentions her boobs first.
Oh.
He's a gentleman, Raven.
He says, your boobs are getting bigger. Must be because you're getting fat. Which, phenomenal. A+ acting choice.
He had us in the first half.
Did he? So he finally leaves, and Dawn and Becky trying to talk her into leaving. This is when Becky's like, listen, girl, you can just stay with me. It's going to be better than this. And this is when we get the line, he'd never let me leave him. And then Becky responds, it's not up to him.
Yeah. And so this song is very much baking a pie, what baking can do. It can like offer like an escape for her, which she learned both like baking, but as an escape from her mom, who was like also abused by her husband. Yeah. Her mom, played by Molly Jobe. But I think you're exactly right. I think this, just like her performance in this, is incredible. But I will say, as far as like what is required of actors during like musicals where you have choreography, you have to be singing live and things like that. Mm-hmm. They're asking so much with like dealing with these ingredients and and like with the dough and like even just like pouring a bunch of stuff in a bowl. I was like, wow, singing and making it look smooth is so difficult, but easy.
Yeah.
By them.
Yeah, and there's especially like when we get towards the end and she like fully like rolls out a crust and like fits it into a pie pan and everything, like while singing and performing it. I'm just like, that's honestly impressive. I can barely roll a crust correctly when that's the only thing I'm doing.
Do you think it was like Play-Doh or like a softer clay?
Go ahead, Jonathan.
I was actually going to chime in here. As you both know, and I don't know about the rest of humanity, I come from theater people.
Yes.
And specifically a stage manager and a props manager.
Love it.
Technical term, props master. Prop master. I have spoken to them about this, and they're like, yeah, I'm going to tell you right now, that was not flour.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. It was not flour, because flour,
cocaine,
whenever you use it, gets all over everything, your hands, your clothing. Yes. It will never come out. Most likely it was plaster dust or
cocaine.
Possibly powdered sugar. And the pies themselves are either plastic or plaster themselves.
That makes a lot of sense.
That we see in this song.
That's really
makes
cool,
sense.
Though.
So then we get into the song Club Knocked Up as she's going to like her first doctor's appointment. And
top
this
tier.
is like
top tier song.
So good. I'm going to just run down and list the rest of the ensemble, the non-named people. Tyrone Davis Jr., Matt DeAngelis, Andrew Fitch, Henry Gottfried, Emily Koch, and Max Kubanangai. I think the ensemble does such a good job. I wanted these three women to be like the muses for the rest of the musical, and they weren't. And that was disappointing for me.
It was really giving the trio from Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah.
I loved the vibe. I loved the vibe. They were so into it. It was just a nice little ditty. I was a huge fan. I agree. I definitely wanted them to come back pretty much every time she went to the doctor, because that would have been amazing.
We got a different character every time that happened, who I love even more.
Yeah.
But she has a surprise new doctor. Her doctor before that was also like her pediatrician, I guess. Lily Perkins is like kind of retiring, but her new doctor, Dr. Pomander, played by Drew Gelling, who's been in A Good Person, A Blacklist, A Killer Party, a murder mystery musical. We're going to do that. The Almost Famous musical, and also on an episode of 30 Rock, where he's Kenneth's nemesis in the standards department. When Jack is like, hey, you need to sabotage him before he can have a better career. That was him. But he also, in this performance, plays the worst doctor that ever has, in this town. Minimum. What a horrible doctor. First off, don't fuck your patients. Especially when they're, in a domestic abuse situation and pregnant. Two, how do you not know what a doula is, you idiot?
Listen, that was when I knew.
That's what you do.
This is
That's what I knew.
this is a result of the current medical system selecting for intelligence rather than bedside matter. Anyway.
Yeah. I will say the moment of him dabbing when she agrees to let him be her gynecologist was just
I
hilarious.
liked that. I liked that.
That was so funny.
I thought that was endearing. The only time, though.
Yeah.
What did y'all think of the mermaid pie?
Fun. I don't know if I would want a pie made primarily of marshmallow, but it was very cool looking.
We're on the same page.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah.
I will say, though, I don't know how endearing Dr. Palmer is in this, but also would.
Oh, same. Oh, absolutely.
I get it. I get it, Jenna. I get it.
I would like once and then probably never again. But
it would be exactly as awkward as the rest of them.
After an appointment.
So he says he's off sugar and he hasn't had pie in years, but she leaves the pie that she baked during what baking can do, and he basically goes sugar crazy. So we're back at the diner the next day. Ginny and Becky both show up late for their shift, and we see Becky and Cal have a little spat that we might find out the motivation behind later. But they have a little bit of a standoff here. But we see Becky and Dawn gift Ginny a little baby book for her new little squish that's going to be coming soon.
Which I think is wild.
What, to give someone a baby book?
No, give your person that's in a horrible, abusive relationship with her abuser's baby. It was like, hey, maybe it's a good thing. No.
Yeah.
Or at least
fair.
Ask first. Or just have a conversation instead of, hey, we're about to have like a full 12-hour shift. Hey, here's something so you'll be thinking about constantly even more than you already are.
Yeah, and I don't know if maybe it was like we know her, like, they knew that she wouldn't want an abortion, or like that because it did seem like she wasn't really planning to consider that, and she was just like, nope, I mean, I'm gonna keep the baby. But I definitely little quick on the draw there, I think.
On the other hand, what more can you do as a friend when you have expressed you're in a bad situation, I am giving you as much support as I physically can, you are not taking me up on said help or support, I will continue to be supportive in any way that I can.
Yeah, and
I don't agree with what you're doing, but you're doing it, so I'm here.
Yeah, and if a person's not ready to be helped or a person's not ready to leave, then there's only so much you can do for them. But yeah, I do think there maybe could have been a conversation, but maybe that conversation just happened off stage or off screen in this case. Who knows? So
then we hear more about just relationships in general, and we kind of hear, I think this is where we hear about like Becky's situation, but then Dawn also that like she's like never dated before and she's working on her dating profile, which is incredible.
Love it.
Top tier name.
Top tier. It's wonderful. And then they're like, just post it. What's the problem? And then we get just on When He Sees Me, which is just like, this song is so good.
This is actually what got me into, this song is actually what got me into the soundtrack for this musical.
That makes sense. I really love this song. This was the moment that I was like, so Dawn is an autistic queen.
I was going to bring that up. This child is autistic.
What makes you say that? The Betsy Ross reenactments or the Rare Turtle collection?
I would say the things that she says and does and the way she behaves.
Everything about her. Also, earlier in opening up, the thing she likes about her service job is that every single day is exactly the same and there are no surprises.
Yes. And during the scene, we see her like organizing all of the condiment bottles and just like straightening everything up and I'm just like, oh, sweetie. and like talking about like also just like the things that the feelings that she expresses during this song of like, yeah, I'm a little weird, I'm a little quirky, I have my little things that I'm just like that, I'm just different, and I am the way I am, but I want someone who will just accept that and like not only accept it but like love me for that, and not be like freaked out by it or not like abandon me or just think I'm weird or like drop me because of it. And I just think that like, especially for such a upbeat and like otherwise like rather whimsical song, I just think it's such a heartfelt and like honest and genuine message and emotion, and it just really made me love Dawn's character.
And especially the honest emotions of being like scared of rejection and acceptance. It's like,
yes,
it's like, one, okay, what if he's a serial killer? We've all been there. Had to run out because you thought you were going to die. And we've all been there. But also it's like, what if he like doesn't leave and just like likes me for who I am? That's terrifying. And it is.
It is indeed.
In addition, another thing for as an autistic individual, a very prevalent thought amongst our community is that concept of, when do I let my partner know who I am, quote unquote? When do I drop the mask around them? And will they run from that? You know, it's when he sees me, will he run away? If he sees me, will he not run away? What the fuck do I do then?
Will he really notice? Will he actually really see me at all?
Exactly.
Willie
and like
Nelson.
Willie, comma, free.
So then, after we get through When He Sees Me, Joe comes in. He has yet another crazy specific and random order we love. He clocks Jenny being pregnant immediately.
She does not have a moment's peace with Joe. Clocked all the time. These horoscopes. Hey, you're a whore. What? I've seen that look.
You're a cheating harlot. Wow.
You look like you are having an affair.
Literally. Like, girl, fix your lip gloss.
But also,
girl, you're messy.
Kind of a king. Kind of a king.
Oh
for
no,
that.
absolutely
he's like,
a king.
He's great because he's like also like you can definitely tell that he like deeply cares about her. He always has to sit at that table, which is her section.
And it's also, he kind of doesn't care. He's like, I mean, shit, whatever.
He doesn't care about the delivery,
around.
but he cares about the message and who he's talking to.
Yeah, he's like, I care about you. You can do whatever you want. I'm gonna tell you. I don't think it's a good idea, but go ahead.
But if you want to not hear it anymore, stop doing it.
Yeah, literally. And so he informs her that in that day's newspaper, there's an advertisement for the Springfield pie baking competition, which has a $20,000 prize associated with it, which could be basically her ticket out of her current life. So she's kind of, floating in her head, thinking of new pie recipes, and she ends up bumping into Dr. Pompadour at the bus station.
The villain arrives.
One of two villains.
Yeah.
So he tells her that he loved her pie. She explains that's her mermaid marshmallow pie that she invented when she was 9. And during the scene, they have, even I will say, they have really cute banter during the scene. I was very torn about their relationship throughout the entire show.
I wasn't.
And yet I am a hopeless romantic. And so we get into the song, It Only Takes a Taste, which is this like jazzy pop sort of swing show tune that I just listen. I'm a sucker for it. I love a love song, I love a song that has like half sung, half spoken banter or conversation in the middle of it.
I have a couple things about this song, which is, first of all, the Fairy Odd Parents taught me well that women love being compared to other women, especially, older women.
Yeah.
Second of all, I really like the beginning of the song, and then it gets a little clunky, in my opinion.
In what way?
It Only Takes a Taste Until You Know It's Good is just a really long, kind of cumbersome chorus.
Refrain.
Refrain, thank you. I don't know music.
No, you're good.
I'm
I appreciate that
for. Honestly.
I'm probably truly your least musical friend. I'll be honest.
No, I think because you're theatrical, and that by nature includes some music.
That's a musical aura about yourself.
Indeed.
I can also barely sing.
Better than me.
Take that
Fair.
one.
Neither can I. That's totally fair, though. I do really like the guitar sort of solo / riff at the end of the song. Overall, I like the sound of it. I agree that lyrically, it's nowhere near the top, like the best song in this soundtrack. Yeah.
Like, it's not the best song. It might be the worst.
No.
But
It might be the worst. It might be the
songs.
worst narratively, like contextually.
Yeah. I don't think there's a bad song in this bunch.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah,
I would argue that this one is the worst, but still a solid B.
This
B+.
one is not as good as all the others.
Fair.
Correct.
Yeah, absolutely valid. So she gets home. Earl
stressful.
gets home early. So Earl gets home early because he was fired, and I do think we've already mentioned that domestic violence does occur, or like is sort of a little bit of a theme in this. But in this particular scene, I think we need just a little bit of a trigger warning. So I'm just gonna put that out here that the scene has
We'll also put in the episode
some,
description.
actual domestic violence in the plot of it. So just be aware. Feel free to skip ahead if you don't want to listen to that. But so he gets home early, and once again we see that she gives gives him her tips for the day. Big yikes, very controlling dynamic. And he just straight up starts sexually harassing her, trying to get her to kiss him, trying to get her to do all types of stuff. And I do find it funny that in this scene she gives him a chicken pot pie after she made up like the jerk chicken pot pie recipe earlier. I just thought that was a fun little detail. And then he gets pissed because she doesn't want to sleep with him, and
he's not hungry.
He's not hungry, and so he basically gets really angry. Goes to hit her. She panics and tells him that she's pregnant. He goes through a truly unhinged roller coaster of emotions. So he starts off like just gets kind of weird, and then he gets really happy because he's like, "Oh, we're gonna have an Earl Jr." Absolutely despise when a man wants a child for his own legacy. Terrible. And then he gets paranoid and jealous because he's just like, "Oh, you're gonna love the baby more than me." And then he makes her promise, like literally say the words, "I promise," that she won't love the baby more than him. And just, girl, run. Like, quite literally sprint in the other direction.
Yeah.
Yikes.
And he talks about, and then... we get into the song, "You Will Still Be Mine," talking about he used to like write her songs and sweet, but even those songs were like pretty. He's like, "You always like really like that like really sad one and just like a kind of like not happy, weird, right?" And but he was like, "What is the lyric? How does it go? You remember? You tell me." Parentheses or else, and she does. And he's like, "Yeah, that's right. You belong to me." Because he sings.
Yeah, the lyric that he makes her sing
Taylor Swift's "You Belong to Me."
Till the sun don't shine, you will still be mine, which is such a like sinister line.
Any romantic song in a different context is sinister.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I could use another drink after this scene. Do we want to go ahead and re-up? Okay.
Sounds good.
Quick break. Burp. Campbell, do you remember being back in like 3rd grade and having like music class and learning to play the recorder and like hot cross buns?
Fun fact. So, I know a lot of wind instruments. I physically was not able to play the recorder. My teacher told me just to stand there at the concert. But yeah, I'm familiar with the concept.
That's so sad.
It's okay. I can play the bassoon. I've gotten over it. I don't feel bad about it.
Okay, well, we'll move on.
Put a pin in that.
Put a pin in that. Boop. So, unfortunately enough, there are students all across the country that have never before had a general music education class and don't have the ability or the opportunity to access music education and get the chance to learn tons of different wind instruments or even just the recorder. And that's why we are partnering with Education Through Music, which is an organization that partners with low-income schools in New York City to provide students better access to music education.
Also, 53% of New York City schools do not have a music teacher on faculty full time. So, Education Through Music also provides weekly music education by putting qualified music teachers into these schools.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the reasons this is so important is because motivation for learning means motivation for staying in school. And a lot of the students that are able to be involved in these music programs report that they have attended school when they otherwise would have skipped, or like stayed in school when they otherwise like wouldn't have wanted to stay, specifically because they were looking forward to music class or they were looking forward to ensemble, and getting to learn specifically about music.
And you can support and learn more at etmonline.org/donate. That's etmonline.org/donate. Help out. Do you have an instrument that you've neglected and now it hates you? Do you have too much money and think, hey, this can go to a good place? Neither applies to me, but I want to talk to you about the Daddario Foundation. They believe in the transformative power of music and that mentoring and building communities through music can positively affect social change. 100% of every dollar raised goes directly to support efforts to get kids involved in community music programs, acquire and maintain instruments, provide college scholarships, and support new innovation in music education. You can learn more and donate at www.daddariofoundation.org/about/donate. That's www.daddariofoundation.org/about/donate.
Hey there, listeners. Pop quiz. Who was your favorite teacher in school? Did it happen to be someone who inspired a movie? Did that movie later change the world? Because that's exactly what happened with Mr. Holland's opus, the story of the profound effect a dedicated music teacher had on generations of students. The composer for the film, Michael Kamen, later started the Mr. Holland's Opus Foundation in 1996 as his commitment to the future of music education. Today, the foundation works with schools nationwide to audit their music education programs, supply quality instruments, train teachers on basic instrument repair, and even offer customized consulting to make sure the school's program fits their students' needs. The impact of this foundation now ensures that hundreds of thousands of kids across the country are granted access to learn and play music in school, keeping music education alive and well. If you're interested in supporting their mission, you can donate online, over the phone, or even while you shop Amazon or eBay. Visit mhopus.org/donate to learn more.
Cheers.
Cheers. So the next day, we're back at the diner, and it's like towards the end of the shift. We see that Jenna's worried because she didn't make a lot of tips again that day. And then Dawn comes in very stressed about a message that she got on her dating profile. And we find out that she has planned a 5-minute date for that evening, which Becky and Jenna initially kind of, like tease her for, like, what are you going to do with a 5-minute date? What are you going to do in 5 minutes? But she explains that it's like the perfect length of time. She's just going to, go by, have a quick coffee with him, a quick chat. And then after 5 minutes, she can, she wants to leave, she can leave. And it's, kind of no stress, low stakes situation to be able to get to know somebody.
And you can always make it longer if you wanted to.
Which she doesn't, which I think is important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And perhaps most importantly, that gives her time to get back in time for History's Mysteries, which, same bitch.
Yes,
absolutely. Same.
And so Jenna also tells us that she decides she's going to do the competition, the pie competition, and leave Earl if she wins the jackpot money, which are some hefty stakes for our story. And
chocolate passion fruit. What are y'all's thoughts on a chocolate passion fruit pie? I thought that sounded delicious.
I could see how those flavors would work together, and I could see myself trying it and liking or appreciating it, but I don't know that I would, go back for a lot of it or, eat a lot of it. But I think it would taste good.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Waitress.
Yeah.
Soft Place Lamb. So in this song in particular, this is where I was like, hey, wait, what's going on? Because they shot additional shots.
Oh.
When they're all making the pie together.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, I really like how this song kind of starts the same way as What's Inside, with that like sugar, butter, flour, but this time like she's not alone. She's with Dawn and Becky, unlike the sort of framing of What's Inside. And their voices just meld so beautifully together, and their slow motion is like so smooth, just like the way they're all like pouring together into the bowl. And I cannot imagine like how much time that took for them to practice that, to get that right, and just like to be able to execute it like that was just so flawless, just perfect. It was beautiful.
That's not how I bake.
I
I bake constantly looking back and forth and keeping track of too many things at the same time and like borderline sweating the whole time. And I'm like, I'm relaxing.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh yeah, I did really like about this song that all three of them have a unique gesture that brings them comfort.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know.
Jenna has the back of her hand against her chest, against her face. I believe it is Dawn where she holds her necklace, which again, tism. And then I believe it is Becky who holds her heart, holds her heart.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't even pick up on that. It's a good catch.
And they do it elsewhere throughout the entire musical, but here is where it's really prevalent.
Yeah. So this song is basically Becky and Dawn, telling her like, hey, we will be there for you. We'll be the support network, and being able to see that, Jenna's going to be able to at least try to enact this plan to like actually take control of her life. And she'll have these friends, the support network, to be able to help her there. So we get through the song, and Jenna starts whipping up a pie for Dawn to take on her date. It's going to be that chocolate passion fruit pie. And then Becky is, giving her a makeover, wants to like do her up for her big date. And so
I would like to briefly mention, Dawn says, "You made me almost pretty."
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's gorgeous.
I was so sad for this poor girl.
I know. Yeah, it sucks. So then they're on their way out as Dawn is going on to her date. Jenna notices Becky putting some lipstick on, and she's like, "Oh, what are you up to?" And she says, "Oh, I just, got a little dream of my own, so some tea for later." And then Jenna heads home, and we see that she's hiding her money in the couch cushions.
Get your own bank account.
Yeah, but I mean, like, maybe this is at the time that, like, women couldn't open bank accounts, or, she's clearly in a controlling relationships. I don't know. Like, I don't know if that would be possible for her right now, or, like, especially if she needs to get the money out quickly or something like that. Yeah, but she should, like, for sure, like, find a more secure location for it, or, like, find somewhere that only she has access to.
Or at least keep it at another location, because also, what's his name? Earl got fired.
Oh, true. Yeah, so he's going to be home.
And so he doesn't have a job, so he's just there, presumably, all the time, or at a bar, drinking or doing whatever he's doing.
He's got nothing but time to look for hidden stashes of money.
Yeah. So the next morning, we're back at the diner, and a customer comes in and sits down, and, Dawn immediately, kind of runs and kind of goes to hide. And so Becky goes over to serve him, and he specifically requests Dawn as his waitress. So then Becky goes to get her, and Dawn is like, "No, that's the guy I went on a date with. Like, I'm not really interested in seeing him again. He's an amateur magician," which, say less, girl. Yeah. But then Becky goes back to tell him that, and he's like, "No, like, she needs to be my server."
I thought he was such a creep in the beginning.
Yeah.
I was like, this is what she was singing about at first, serial killer.
Yeah, like, bro, take no for an answer. Like, I don't know. I get that the narrative is kind of going in that direction. Like, the narrative has them pairing together, and they're cute in the end, but this scene was a kind of a yikes.
And so he's played by Christopher Fitzgerald, been in a lot of things, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, Happy. He was Bach in Wicked, Igor in Young Frankenstein, but also, and it's very prevalent in this upcoming song, he studied among like singing and acting and dancing. He also has studied techniques of clowning, but also mime and storytelling.
Oh,
and
interesting.
I think that is very apparent.
Yeah, definitely. His like body language, again, like the physicality and physical comedy of a lot of the actors in here are great, but he's awesome.
Is techniques of clanning what you studied, Raven?
Fuck you.
No, it was chemical engineering and kind of insane.
Yeah. Yeah, and so Ogie, you know, kind of keeps pressing on, you know, like wanting her to be his server, and Becky's just like, oh girl, you know, you gotta go, you gotta take your chance, you know, like go ahead and talk to him, you know, give him another shot.
I didn't like any of their reactions to this harassment.
Yeah.
She was like, I barely like talking to people that are new. Why do you think this is good for me?
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know, like I guess I kind of torn on it because like in the end they're cute together and they're just like this could be a great relationship, but
yeah, because obviously her friends are good role models of healthy relationships.
Yeah, I know, right? Right?
In the words of Dawn,
It's not that it's their fault, but still.
Yeah, yeah.
In the words of Dawn, what if I turn out to be a miserable wife? Oh, sorry, girls.
Literally. So we get into Never Ever Getting Rid of Me, and this song, I mean, the title alone says it, but yeah, and it veers just like more into creepy than adorably persistent for me, which I have a hard time finding persistence in men adorable in the first place, and this does not help.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I will say the song itself is pretty cute and catchy, and I like it within the narrative, I guess, but not in the meta,
No.
I think.
And I think he's sort of meant to be the foil to Earl. Earl is always, I am never getting rid of you. Ogie is always, you are never getting rid of me. I will always be by your side.
I think that's a very good point.
You will always be by my side.
Yeah.
And I think it's also interesting that he's like, I don't know, the ensemble is loving him. Free pie? Heck yeah. But they also, for the whole time, you'll hear like audience reactions, but it's not always from the live audience on the first 2 days of recording, but it was very important for them for this song in particular and his performances that got like obvious audience applause and acclaim because he was fucking up that stage.
Oh yeah,
that cartwheel at the end.
Oh, absolutely.
I was thinking of that.
Behind.
He's such a dynamic
and
performer.
so it was just
absolutely.
like it's very clear. Like the audience reactions during this song is like in real time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that helps.
And that's really cool.
That helps so much to make his character likable.
Oh, and
yes, and
something else that we haven't talked about, but the band always on stage, kind of like in the diner in the corner, I thought was so cool. Instead of like an orchestra.
I really
pit.
liked that.
Like, let's see them.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. I really like that.
There are
detail.
periods where it just fully goes dark, and I can't help but think absolute kudos to that band for playing in the absolute dark. On a moving platform that is moving around while they're doing this.
Yeah, always props to the orchestra for that. That's so good. And somehow this song inspires Jenny to like believe in love again. And so she gets the idea for the Pursuit of Happiness pie. And no, sorry, that's a different pie. She gets an idea for a passion fruit pie or something like that.
I believe this one in particular is poppy seeds, ginger snaps, and tapioca. And at this point, I had to say, do people actually enjoy these pies?
Do you think it was a pregnancy craving?
I think it was narrative. I don't understand.
I did like at the end of this interaction with Augie that you at least see some similarities, like the Federalist Papers, like Sundance at like date, and like he was Paul Revere 42 times, actually 40. Because he was like backup Paul Revere.
He was the understudy.
And they're like the elf and the turtle, which seems mean. I don't like when there's like the dowdy like side character that, you know, people actually like their friends pity. And by also still calling them, they were like, we're happy that you actually found love. Surprise to us. It's just not a trope I like.
I hate that
Big
sort of
Sheldon
dynamic
energy.
to it, but yeah.
Sheldon's
but
a good
I
turtle
agree
man.
that it was nice that they that they did have things like legitimately in common, and they do seem like an actual like good pairing. It's just if someone actively expresses that they do not want to spend time with someone or interact with someone, don't force them to, because that's weird and bad. So then Jenny gets an idea for her tapioca poppy seed
almost
pie.
makes you believe again pie.
And that one, yes. And calls Dr. Pomander to tell him that she's been experiencing some light bleeding, and he sets up an appointment with her for the next morning at like 7 a.m. So we get to that, and we find out that he came in early just for her. There's no one else in the office. Weird, creepy, don't do that. And she gives him these little, like, the pie that she made, she gives him little, like, pocket pies. They're really cute. So then he tells her, like, oh, you know, like, how bad was the bleeding? It only happened the one time. Oh, you're fine. Like, light spotting like that happens all the time to women at this stage in their pregnancy. And she's like, oh, then why did you make me come to a 7 a.m. doctor's appointment for something that was fine?
You know how what I have to do to get here.
Yeah.
And I'm
at
pregnant.
7 a.m. Yeah. And have an abusive husband and a full-time job. And so then she's like, oh, do you have anything that you want to say to me or anything you need to say? And he, you know, gets that look like, oh, he clearly wants to say something, clearly wants to say that he likes her or whatever, but then doesn't. So then she storms out for like a second and then comes back in and kisses him. And we get into the song A Bad Idea, and indeed 'tis. So much sexual tension throughout this entire song. I do like the way the music kind of mirrors this emotion. It's a sort of like racing beat. And the melodies have like constant runs where they're constantly going on these like sort of wild melodic runs that I think just go with like the fast pacedness of the beat and just make the song as a whole feel like a little chaotic and almost like they're out of breath, even though they're actually not.
Yeah, and the anxiety that's like coming along with like the decisions they're making. If he's going to be able to like keep his medical license. Like, I just a lot.
How there should have been a nurse
Honestly,
in the room the whole time to prevent this exact moment.
No, but he made sure to get there before anyone else would be there, so he can get away with it.
Yes. And so then they fuck in the patient room. Totally normal, totally healthy.
Sanitary.
Do you think like the paper that's on that would have made a lot of noise?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Which they also didn't have on any
the nurse knew what was happening regardless. They didn't have on any of these seats other red flag. So then Jenny, makes her pies for the next day, and while she's like fantasizing about Pomander, and she's
when they like looks like they're about to have sex, we get to intermission, and they call it intermissionary.
Phenomenal, top tier.
Oh, that's
I
good.
Pointed that out,
That's
and I was
fun.
like, "This is phenomenal."
Yeah, but then Act
I think I
Two,
missed
she's
that.
like,
that's amazing. Yes, she is fantasizing about Dr. Pomander while making her pies for the day. She comes into the diner and catches none other than Becky and Cal going at it in the kitchen, fully on the counter where food is prepared. This song is very soulful, which I really like, but it's still got some, I guess, like rock a little bit too. It's got like guitars, like drums, like that type of stuff. The vocals are beautiful as they are in like really almost all of the songs. I think there's some where like you wouldn't necessarily use the term beautiful to describe the vocals, but I think it's very deep and interesting introspection into what it can feel like, what it can be like to feel trapped in your life for whatever reason. And I think that's the main thing that's important for Jenna's story, taking away from this, is the understanding that she feels trapped in this relationship, and Becky, if nothing else, is showing her a way to be able to feel something again, be able to feel alive, to feel some thrill, to feel emotion, to feel connected to someone, cared about in some way. And I do think, regardless of how one feels morally about cheating, I do think that experience or that journey is important for Jenna to go on, or to be able to understand the importance of getting to feel that way, if that makes sense. Yeah. So Jenna heads back to the doctor, and we understand that it's been about a month since the last time that they've seen each other, which was when they slept together the one time. And at first they argue, and then just hard cut into full-on affair.
Which everyone knows about, especially Nurse Norma, played by Sasha McCleskey, the good fight. I take these Zoe. She was also in the ensemble for Annie Live. She is great.
Yeah, her line when he's like, "Oh, have you been taking your vitamins?" And she's like, "Every day, faithfully." And she's like, "Faithfully, my ass." I'm like, "Hell
Truly,
yeah, girl."
Nurse Norma is who I aspire to be. Just eating free fucking pie and judging people. Truly, the dream.
The dream.
Especially, it's like we're on the same page here, and she's like, we're all on the same page here.
On the same page. And so then we get into a reprise of Bad Idea, and just everybody fucking.
At the same time.
Jenna is fucking Dr. Pomander. At the same time, Becky is fucking Cal. And,
damn Dawn.
Dawn is fucking
you know,
Ogie. They are
I was like,
going
at
at
this
it like
point,
rabbits.
I'm like, you know what? Augie's all right.
And this
The
is
British
the
are
point
coming.
that I was
Also
like,
an
I
ally.
did not get this particular plot point from the soundtrack. Didn't know this was going to be a part of the
That's so
story.
funny.
Yeah.
Hot.
So then after this musical kind of aside, or reprise rather, we are back at the diner. And Jenna comes in and is serving
Who's
Joe.
coming in
and again,
hot.
immediately calls her out on her affair. This man is astute as fuck. And he's just like, yeah, I see you with your mussed up hair, with your what's the word, like messed up lipstick and everything.
Smudged.
Like,
I
You've been
love
up
the
to some
fact that
stuff.
he's
I can
just like,
smell it
how
on
you
him.
doing,
Smudge,
Jenna? How's your husband? How's your affair partner?
You want to hear your horoscope? No? Well, you're gonna.
It says
I don't
here.
think it was a real horoscope. Something is telling me.
something in me is saying that's not what the newspaper said.
But he is being really encouraging
so-
to be like, oh, this is like the pie you should do for the contest. And you should like,
Yeah.
do this, feel secure, and then leave your husband. And so everything's fair and square.
Fuck somebody else's husband. You just
And you can mess up your lipstick
Yeah.
with whoever you want. Yeah. And so then Dawn is also bragging about her newfound sex life. Becky and Cal are flirting uncomfortably and inappropriately at work. And then Oki shows up and starts shouting a poem at Dawn, just off the dome. It's terrible. And so then Ginny, again, this is like super cute or whatever, a little inspiring to her, I guess. And so this is when she comes up with the Pursuit of Happiness pie. Which honestly, of
Inspired
all
by
the ones she
the
makes,
Will
this is the one
Smith
that I was like,
movie.
I would. Out of all the pies she makes, this is the one that I was like, I would try that. That sounds pretty good. And so she goes back to Dr. Pomader's office, but he is out of town with his wife
Villainous.
for a funeral.
he's just thinking about that
and-
pie.
He's just thinking about that pie. So the nurse comes and she, does a little checkup with her. She kind of just goes over her vitals, but she's able to hear her baby's heartbeat for the first time. And she finally starts writing the letter to the baby that Becky and Dawn told her to write in the baby book. And so this first bit is really just sort of like a kind of short spoken word little snippet, but I really like the piano in the background and just like how it just kind of bolsters this piece and makes it a little more feeling, just gives it a little more emotion to it. And
Time passes.
then is that
Time
everything
passes,
else,
and then
or-
the doctor shows up at the diner.
yes,
And he's
Several
like, I haven't
weeks.
felt this. I haven't felt in a very long time. His wife seems very lovely.
very lovely. She seems very much invested in this relationship. That is dubious
And then-
for him at best.
Has a present for her, and it's the ugliest pie tin I've ever seen.
Truly terrible.
It was.
What material is it made of?
Ostensibly gold.
And it's
Yeah, right. But like,
it's like when
that
you
would be a
have
heavy
like
ass pie
like
plate.
if
Go
you
ahead.
go to like Party City
Oh
or
God.
Spirit Halloween, and there's like, oh, this is like the knight's armor, and it's just like that hard plastic that has the like
Yeah.
spray paint, so it looks like just
Metal.
super fake, and sometimes it'll be like kind of like textured with like little specks and stuff. It looks like it
Yeah,
had it
it's
was made
that.
of the same material as that.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah, truly terrible. But it's a deep dish pie plate. It has her name engraved, and I guess that's
Engraved.
cheap or whatever.
It's so malleable. It's cheap.
He went at it with a
Listen,
penknife.
And
at
If
this
you
point-
really want to give her a present, give her money.
Well,
facts.
You're a
At this
doctor.
point-
You're the two like, and your wife is a resident.
oh yeah.
You have the money.
Absolutely.
No. It truly one of
Or
the
you're a
richest people
fair
in this
partner.
goddamn tiny town, apparently.
It's so patronizing. Hey, here's something you can use. You can
Well,
use.
besides
Here's
Joe,
something
yeah.
you can use so you can bake me more pies.
I know one thing about you,
Literally.
it's pies.
Um,
At this point, Jenna
Literally.
offers to teach him how to bake a pie, and at that point I was like, do not do it, he will leave you. This man is after one thing, and it is the pies.
Well, it's
all
useful that he
definitions of the
doesn't
term.
actually learn anything about making pies. The only thing he does during the making of this pie is pour in half of the sugar.
Which, again,
So,
2
I-
part sugar to 1 part blackberries, and I understand why everybody in this town loves her pies now.
True. So we get into the song "You Matter to Me," and to be completely honest, at first I thought that this was going to be a song that she would sing to her unborn
Same.
child, and I was disappointed when I found out that it was him singing to her.
I do I do honestly kind of like the message of love is complicated, mattering to somebody is simple, and that's sometimes all you need.
Yes.
Yeah, I really do love the part where she kind of breaks away and she like turns to the audience / camera / is addressing her unborn child, and basically says like, I hope that you become addicted to this feeling. Like, I hope that you find someone who can get you addicted to the feeling of just mattering to someone, of being validated, of having your thoughts and your feelings heard. And that I definitely really resonated with. Like, I think like
I don't know if I agree.
I think that to me, like, that is one of the best forms of love, of just like knowing that you just care about someone and that person matters to you, and you just care what they think and what they're interested in and what their perspectives on things are and how they feel, and you are actually interested in just who they are as a person. And that doesn't have to be romantic love. That goes for platonic love and other forms of love as well. But I do think it's important to like to be able to show that those forms of love can exist in a variety of ways. Especially
I think I agree with that, but it's just paired with the word addicted that I'm just like, that's bad and toxic, and it's for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, addictions
and
are
will
always-
be
yeah.
used and hurt.
I also would like
Fair.
to point out that it poses an interesting foil for a later song, I Love You Like a Table, where this is just, you matter to me. That's all that there is. And then the other one is, I'm here. There's no more to it. I'm here for
Yeah.
you no matter what. Whatever you need, whatever needs happening, I'm here. Which
Yeah.
is very... Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, which is our next song.
Yeah.
Because Dawn
Yeah.
and Augie get married after meeting and knowing each other less than 9 months. That's the time period we know for sure.
Yeah.
But hey, seems like it's working out.
And he, like a true man, starts shouting a random poem,
Oh, for a
just
woman.
random shit in the middle of the wedding ceremony.
Hey,
for a
he's
woman,
paying her.
yeah.
He can do what he wants.
This one is actually pretty good though. This one's actually pretty good though. It's the song "I Love You Like a Table," and at first he's like, "Oh, I don't know how good of a metaphor this is," and I think this is actually
Agreed.
a great metaphor. To your exact
Utility.
point, Campbell, or
You're bringing
Jonathan,
something other than it's
of like,
yes, I love you. We care about it. We're choosing each other, but it's more than that.
yeah. I am your support, and I will be your support however you need me, and for however long you want me here, basically. That I'm just here to help you and help uplift you and help
hold you up
support you.
like a table.
Is really all that is. Yeah. And I also think just like being in any form of relationship, I also think just being a person who simply wants to help the other person in the relationship, and simply just like provide whatever help or assistance they need. I think that can be really powerful in really any sort of relationship dynamic. So this is really cute. Ginny baked them a 5-tier wedding pie.
Great.
Which I think is
too.
awesome. I've been to a wedding that had pie instead of cake. And
I
it's
think that seems hard to serve, but I would be really excited for that.
So Becky comes up to Jenna and gives her some money that she wants her to use to help her get into the pie baking competition so that she can, start her new life and everything. And then Joe comes along, acts like Joe. We love his craziness. But she asks him for some advice, and we get into the song Take It From an Old Man, which I think is just such a sweet song. I love old people energy, as long as they're not crazy old people, but sometimes crazy old people are also fun, as long as they're
Harmful.
not, like...
Or, in the government for a decade.
Yeah. But, yeah, I really like this, like... It's basically, like, him, like, giving her a little bit of a retrospective on his life. Like, we've heard little snippets of he's had 3 marriages, like, other, one of his wives was
he
a screamer.
severely, apparently.
He fucked severely.
Final episode.
So he's been around the block a bit. But I just think it's just a really sweet song, and like him just trying to like impart a little bit of like wisdom and guidance for her. And we can tell again during this like how much he just cares about her and just wants her to like be good and be okay and kind of know her worth type of thing.
I do also really like the lyrical like duality of take it from an old man, as in take this advice from an old man, as well as take the strength you need from an old man, and then eventually a third entendre.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I didn't quite think about it like that, but I think that's very much evident in the messaging of this musical. I really like it. So then Earl shows up angry again, and makes her come home.
Everyone's ready to like fight him at the diner, which they just should have. Fully. He has found the money that she's been hiding around their little home. Gets really pissed off. He destroys her guitar. And something that I think his
is
guitar.
Really telling.
Mm-hmm.
So it's even like I feel
guitar,
like that was even more like indicative of he's a dick.
He's just out of control.
Mm-hmm. Very look what you made me do.
He just
vibes.
really doesn't care.
Another Taylor Swift song.
Yes.
Earl is Taylor Swift.
And one of the lines that he has that I think is really telling is, you're the only person I've ever loved. You're the only person that's ever belonged to me. And just,
disgusting.
Again, screaming, flashing, blazing red flag girl. But also I think really indicative of his character and his character's mindset, and a look into why he is the way, like why he treats her this way, and like how he truly views her, and the fact that he views control as love. And so she tells him that all the money she was saving was for the baby, and that, she was saving it to like get a new crib and stuff like that, because obviously she can't tell him the truth because she's trapped in an abusive relationship. And so once again, he pockets all of the money and just like walks away and just slides in his back pocket, and we implicitly understand she's never going to see that money again. And then we get into the song She Used to Be Mine, which is my favorite song from this soundtrack, and just so like just rips my heart to shreds every
number
time
one
I hear
favorite
it,
number 2,
but it's also tragically relatable. Like I think just the sheer, I think like hearing the song in context is even much more emotional, obviously, than just listening to it on the soundtrack, because like you understand all the references and like that she's singing to her child at the end and everything like that. But just the sheer amount of like honesty and like emotional vulnerability that's in this song, and the way she talks about like the girl that she used to be as almost a stranger to her now, like almost someone that she's seeing from a distance, and how that person isn't her anymore, and she doesn't even know the point, like when she stopped being that person. And it's just such a good song and such a good performance, and so hard.
Yes, agreed. I like I said, if it's not number one, it's number two with a bullet.
Yeah. And then we get into the contraction ballet when she goes into labor.
Cheers. So then
in the hospital, Joe is also
Earl,
there.
Yeah,
another
so she's in labor.
Surgery. Has a card for her.
Yes.
Open it later after all of this nonsense is done. Earl is taping everything. We meet Francine, who's a resident at the hospital there.
I was unaware of her
Stephanie
name.
Torrance.
I referred to her consistently in my notes as Jim wife.
And she says, like, hi, like, I'm Francine, like, that my husband's going to take really good care of you. I've heard so much about you. What a fucking creep.
To tell your wife about your affair partner?
Oh, yeah,
That is
this is,
weird.
like, one of my patients, like, got me this pie. She's so nice. She seems so sweet. Let's, like, be very supportive and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, help her out, blah, 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 blah. What a terrible
also,
guy.
I'm fucking her. Like, yeah.
Speaking of terrible guys, somebody who's not a terrible guy is Joe, because he specifically, the doctor, Jim, is like, are you supposed to be here? And Joe just turns to him and goes, yes, I'm Ken.
Indeed,
yes,
he is. I love Joe for that.
And
and so then so like Joe and all of them leave, and I do really like the framing of this shot with her between, like, sitting between Earl and Jim, really pulling up that tension in the scene. We meet Francine. She has her child, who turns out to be a daughter. So Earl is not getting his junior, which is awesome because we hate him. And I love that. So at first, right, so like she has a moment just before, like, the birth is complete, where she's like, I don't want to have Earl's kid. I don't want to have Earl Jr. I don't want to be, like, trapped and stuck with this man for the rest of my life. And then we find out that she has a daughter instead of a son. And in that moment, like, there's a moment where you can tell she's clearly reluctant to meet her child. And then when she sees her, she takes literally one look at her and just kicks Earl out of her life immediately. And I'm like, hell yeah, girl. Wish it didn't take that much, but I'm glad that we got
you
there.
could do it solely for yourself, but you know what? We got here.
The lesson to be learned here is drugs will help you kick your abusive husband out of your life. And I quote, the legal maximum limit.
Legal maximum dosage of drugs that she
Which
wants.
I believe there's also like a fever dream going on at this point, or very briefly before this point.
Yeah. And we get into the song Everything Changes. Really beautiful piece. Very simplistic, I guess, arrangement. It's pretty much just piano and vocals, but the piano has a really nice, like, rising, I don't know if complex is the right word, but compound, I guess, melody to it, which just has really nice backing to Sarah's voice, because her voice is just beautiful against piano. And there's a little bit of a break where Oki and Dawn and Becky come to, like, check on her, and they tell her, like, Oki and Dawn say, like, hey, you know, you can stay with us for a while, which props to them, because having a newborn in your house is tough, especially when it's for an indefinite period of time.
Especially for newlyweds.
And it's not your newborn. Yeah. So props to them. And then Jenny and Dr. Pomatter, yes. Jim, they talk, and she just, like, listen, this is actually
I saw your wife,
idea.
and she
we should
trusts
actually
you.
end this.
She
Yeah.
shouldn't,
And, he's like, are you sure? At no point he was just like, this is what my relationship's like. It's just like, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm a bad guy. Anyway, any more pie?
Yeah, literally. And then
pie.
the song finishes up with like the full chorus, of people, and she has her baby now. Everything's super cute. And I do think it's a little cute that her last pie gift to Jim is a moon pie. It just makes the little Southern girl inside of me very happy. So Joe ends up leaving her the pie shop. And then we have a bit of a time skip where we see like Lulu is about 3
Played by
or 4
Nora Weiner.
now, so it's been so cute, great kid, or like great performance, I guess. And we see them like in the shop. We have opening up the finale version. Dawn is pregnant now, which took them long enough. Honestly, at the rate they were going, I figured it would happen a lot sooner.
Well, they didn't have the room. Probably.
See again, fuck severely.
Oh, fair. And the place is now called Lulu's Pies. Very fitting, very adorable. And that is the end of the show. Okay, Jonathan, you are up.
Yeah. Last time I was here, I brought a game. So I thought I would continue that tradition, and I brought a game I'm calling Cabernet Cabaret. I'm going to read for you a wine description, and you have to tell me if it's real or if I made it up.
Oh, that's fun.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yes.
I played it with 2 people, and I have 6 descriptions. One person got 5 out of 6. One person got 2 out of 6.
I think I'm going to get
I'm hoping
0 out of 6.
You've only got the 2 options, so statistically,
I beat the odds every time.
Listen, I'm about to say statistics works out not in my favor all the time. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Cool.
So let's going to start with an easy one. It's going to be a little weird one. In that it is not weird at all. It's just incredibly factual. Chateau Le Fresnel 2020. This is a Bordeaux red blend from Bordeaux, France. Chateau Le Fresnel shows notes of raspberries and cherries on the palate with a hint of fresh spearmint and a smooth, balanced finish. Pairs well with barbecue chicken, pasta dishes, and pizza.
Yeah, that's fine. That's a real description, I think.
I'm going to say no.
I'm locking it in.
This one is, in fact, real. Raven won.
Love that for you,
Good
Campbell.
job.
So, up next, Derringer by Milton Wineries. This is a port from Yakima, Washington. Derringer is a blast of flavor with notes of dark stone fruits, raspberries, and plum bobs that slides into a smoky finish. Nothing completes a meal like a shot of Derringer.
It's like just on the line. I could see it being real, but it's Jonathan, so I think it's
I also
fake.
think it's fake.
You're both right.
Yay!
Plum bobs are not a fruit. They are a cut of gemstone.
I love that for you that you know that.
That is, at this point, I tell you, all of the fake ones have a tell.
Okay.
The tell is, I'm lying.
Up next is Hillside Cabernet Sauvignon by Juggernaut. This is a Cab Sav from California. French oak beautifully transforms intense hillside fruit into a wine with uncommon richness and smooth, luxurious texture. Juggernaut Hillside Cabernet is a wine that is fierce, brave, and delicious.
Brave feels odd for a wine. I feel like I'm used to seeing bold rather than
I
brave.
had the same thought.
And Juggernaut feels not out of the realm of possibility, but odd.
I'm going to say
for
fake.
A wine. I'm also going to say fake.
This is real. I drink this and I serve it at my job.
Interesting,
That's
because
crazy.
also from the description, I got nothing about what it tastes like.
Correct.
So I was just like,
I really like this wine. This is not a good description of this wine.
Okay, because it's not a good description.
period.
No.
Yeah.
Up next is a wine called Velvet Devil by Charles Smith. This is a Merlot from Washington. As advertised, the smooth Merlot offers pure velvet, deep and delicious black fruit, cedar, tobacco, and cassis. It conveys concentrated richness and yet purity and focus. It's so good that it appears the devil made me do it.
I'm going to say fake.
I'm also going to say
This
fake.
one is real.
So bad at this.
It also purports to and I quote, make Merlot sexy again. This is a $12 bottle of wine.
What black fruit?
One would assume plum or blackcurrant, something in that realm, but it does not specify.
Okay.
It is still just made of, grapes.
I don't know that I would try any of these wines based on description alone, but I'm sure they taste like wine.
All right. Up next is Place de Chien by Va Bien. This is a Chardonnay from France. This intense Chardonnay takes advantage of the dry weather of the Ruhr Valley to create an intense wine that delights with a buttery entrance before settling into a creamy citrus blossom finish.
I'm going to go fake.
I'm going to go real.
This one is indeed fake. Yes. Not only is the Ruhr Valley in Germany, not France.
It didn't sound French.
Correct.
It feels like actually, and it's stressing me out.
It is a little...
That is such a hard show, oh my gosh.
I love that show. In addition, Va Bien is French for get good. So that's the second tell in that one.
That's funny.
That's hilarious.
Up next is Duplicitous by Calvin Broadus. This is a Shiraz from Australia. Each sip of this complex, peppery Shiraz unfolds new depths of secretive flavor, from blackcurrant and clove to violet and chocolate. Unfold every layer of this enigmatic Shiraz.
Real.
I'll go fake again.
You are correct. It is fake. Calvin Broadus is Snoop Dogg's real name.
That's
hilarious. This is a really fun game.
That's amazing.
Isn't it? I liked it. So I believe our final scores are...
Campbell definitely.
No, I think we're tied.
No, I think we're tied. I think we are tied with both people having 3.
Nice.
That was very
a fun game.
I liked
Thank you for that, Jonathan. So getting into Raven's Composer's Corner, we have music and lyrics by, of course, Sarah Bareilles, who we've talked about rather at length at this point, but we'll still go over a couple of things for her, who's an American singer-songwriter and actress born in 1979. And then a book by Jessie Nelson, who is an American film producer, director, actress, and writer. So Sarah Bareilles, we covered her a bit in the Easter special for Jesus Christ Superstar. She played Mary Magdalene. So she's, of course, famous pop star, really blew up in 2007 with her album Little Voice, which included the hit single Love Song. Fucking love that song. So good. She does pop, rock, and soul music, all of which are really on display throughout this musical. And she performs on vocals and piano. So Waitress was actually her Broadway debut, which I think makes a lot of sense. So like the movie came out when she would have been really getting her start in the music scene, and she was directly approached to do the music and lyrics for the musical, which I think also makes a lot of sense. And I'm so glad that she did. So she's done a lot of other theater, all the way back to high school. She was in our high school's production of Little Shop of Horrors, where she appeared as Audrey, which I think is super cool. She also did Broadway productions for SpongeBob SquarePants and the revival of Into the Woods, which I think is really awesome. And she earned Tony nominations.
Because she was the baker's wife?
Yes. In Into the Woods, yeah. So... super famous, love her, love everything she's been in, everything she's done. Pray that she gifts us with more music and art long before she eventually passes onto the void. Then getting on to Jessie Nelson. I didn't know how else to end that sentence.
I hope we get more for her before she dies.
Keep it in, future Raven. Just let's wait. Jonathan was just about to truck through. Just move through.
Base boost it.
Let's go. Come on. Let's keep it going.
So then Jessie Nelson began her career acting at the Public Theater in New York. She's also performed in Shakespeare in the Park. Her first feature film was Corinna, which she wrote, produced, and directed, along with many other works, which starred Whoopi Goldberg and Ray Liotta. Cool pairing. She received the first ever Stanley Kramer Award from the Producers Guild, which was for her film I Am Sam. And she also wrote, directed, and produced this version of Waitress that we just watched for the episode. So some of her other works that you may recognize are To the Moon, Alice, The Story of Us, Love the Coopers, and Fred Claus. So a lot of good, woman energy, feminine power, girl boss, gatekeep, amazing, we stand in Composer's Corner today. And that's all she wrote, folks. So, Campbell, what are we going to be playing today?
We will be playing Raven on the violin, myself on the clarinet. A rendition of Doodle-Doo, She Used to Be Mine.
Yes, I'm so happy.
Okay.
Burb.
And then we were stopping.
Yeah, and then we're stopping there.
Great.
Okay. Oh, that sounds really pretty. Once
Got
I,
into it. Yeah.
played it, right?
It's the chorus
Yeah,
that
once
sounds
I
good.
figured
And
out
then
how
it's
to
just
play
like, I think this is the rhythm and how she sings it, but then it's the
Yeah.
actual chorus. It's like, no, that's it.
Yeah. Okay. So we want to do pick up to 1.
Yeah, hold on 1 second. I need to figure out an alternate fingering because I go through from a D flat to a C, and so I'll share on the camera. But this is a D flat, and then and then this is a C, and it's hard to do that smooth. But there's alternate keys over here that I can do. So
I applaud every clarinet player in the world for learning all the fingerings and alternate fingerings and just like, listen, y'all are the real heroes. Because
okay, I think I figured it out.
I barely learned 3rd and 5th position.
Right, ready? Pick up to 95?
Okay. Pick up to 105?
105? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Okay.
Fingering is so hard for me. It's just like all the pinky, and it was tough.
I think there are a lot of notes that I'm just like, I can hear that this isn't what it's meant to be, but I think I'm playing the right note according to the key signature, but I know that that's wrong because it sounds wrong, but I don't know
musical
what
interpretation.
So I think we're just going to leave it there.
That's just where we're going to call it.
Creative liberties.
Well, how do we sound, Jonathan? We haven't had a guest on in a long time, and I know you can hear Raven as well. So how did I sound, beside all my missing notes?
Mournful.
Good.
I find
mournful
As
of
it
the
should
you that hasn't come back yet.
Yeah.
I find clarinet in general to be a very mournful instrument. Very
I
sad.
Agree. It's hollow.
I agree. Same with oboe.
Oboe is almost like not as mournful. Almost oboe's just kind of sad. Clarinet, I find.
I think there's more of a brightness with oboe.
Fair.
I find clarinet to be very like, no, I'm in my feelings right now.
Yeah. Fair. Okay, so friends, how would we rate this
9
musical?
out of 10.
9 out of 10.
I also would give it a 9 out of 10.
It was just so good.
It's just amazing. It's simply amazing. Yeah. There are maybe some dynamics I would change. Maybe make Oki slightly less creepy and harassing.
I think it like suited his character. I would have more consequences for the doctor.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but overall, I thought this was really, really good musical. Really good discussion. Thanks for coming on, Jonathan. Is there anything you would like to plug or promote before we close out?
I would like to plug and promote you guys and how amazing you guys are.
Oh, so kind.
In addition, just read a book.
I like that.
Absolutely.
Don't cheat on your spouse and read a book.
Always good
and
advice.
it always comes in those,
give.
Things always come in twos and like pairs. That's a classic pair. Don't cheat on your spouse and read a book. Yeah.
And read a book.
Also, just as an aside, I've been seeing a lot of hate online for like, that's not a real book that you should read. If it brings you joy and you enjoy it, read it.
And if it's cutting down on screen time, like, come on. Just like, why are we trying to gatekeep?
Or even if it's a digital reader, go ahead.
Yeah.
Something that can't distract you.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
Campbell,
Well,
where can you
Raven,
find us?
you already know, so I don't really know why you're asking me. It's kind of patronizing, and we're gonna have a conversation
Wow.
about it later. But for everyone else,
Wow.
Jonathan,
1743. Out,
the coordinates are you
longitude
can find us-
84.
7. You can find us wherever podcasts are found. That Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, iHeartRadio. And if you found us that way, or really any podcast platform, we are on all of them. YouTube, I fixed the link, so our episodes are on YouTube again. And
Beautiful.
Took months. Super just had to click a literal button, and it would have been fine.
Truly
it's
so
like
hard.
times.
It's like, oh
It
my
was-
god, I really don't want to send this email. I've been thinking about it all week, but it only took 2 minutes, so I guess I should have done it. Anyway, but when you find us, we hope you like us, and if you do, like us, follow us, rate us well, rate us 5 stars. The more busyness and rated favorably isness that we get, the algorithms make us, go to further places on the podcast interwebs. But if you didn't like us or have any feedback for us, we want to know.
Continue to
You
hate
can
listen.
Yeah, hate listen. That's good. That's why Velma season 2 was the thing.
Yeah.
On Max. And honestly,
Max.
people are overreacting. It's not the worst show ever made. It's not that bad.
It's not The Office.
No.
Hot take. We're not going to get into it.
Wow.
I have to have dinner. I've worked hard. And so, what was I even saying? You can contact us, criticisms, or your thoughts on Velma in The Office at boozicals@gmail.com. It's BOOZICALS @boozicals@gmail.com. And you can follow us on Instagram. We have all our recipes and episode descriptions, but also on our Instagram posts and, fun photoshops. And if you want to, if a drink sounds good and the recipe is like, oh, that sounds good too, but you want to physically see it, at Boozicals on Instagram. We also share different music education, nonprofit related stuff. But again, thanks for coming on, Jonathan.
And with that, listeners, we shall say
Adieu.
good night.
Au revoir.
Go and get.
Okay.